She was born with nothing but questions in her eyes and fear in her heart. Everyone around her said this girl would never rise. She believed them for years until one silent night changed everything. One decision. One step forward. What happened next rewrote her life forever and inspired millions across America. Stay till the end because her journey might change the way you see your own life. Her name was Elena Carter. She grew up in a small, forgotten town in the middle of the United States where dreams often died quietly. The houses were old. The streets were empty. People worked hard but hoped less. Elena was raised by a single mother who worked long hours at a local diner. Her father left when she was 5 and never returned. From a young age, Elena learned what silence felt like. Silence at dinner. Silence in school meetings. Silence when bills could not be paid. Elena was a quiet child, but her mind was always loud. She watched people carefully. She noticed how confidence opened doors and fear closed them. In school, she was average not because she lacked intelligence, but because she lacked belief. Teachers rarely noticed her. Classmates overlooked her. She often sat by the window dreaming of a life far beyond the cracked sidewalks of her town. At the age of 12, Elena started helping her mother after school. She cleaned tables, served coffee, wiped floors. Customers rarely looked at her. Some were kind, some were cruel. Each interaction taught her something about human nature. She learned patience. She learned humility. Most of all, she learned that survival required strength even when no one applauded. High school was not easier. Elena wore the same shoes for years. She avoided social events because she could not afford them. Friends slowly drifted away. Loneliness became familiar. Yet inside her something refused to die. At night, she read borrowed books about successful women in America. Women who failed. Women who rose. Women who were told no but kept moving forward. Those stories planted a quiet fire in her chest. Her mother often apologized for the life she could not give her. Elena would smile and say everything was fine. But deep inside, she promised herself that this cycle would end with her. She did not know how. She did not know when. But she knew it must happen. After graduating high school, Elena faced a harsh reality. College felt impossible. Money was scarce. Guidance counselors offered little help. Many suggested she find a job and stay close to home. That advice felt like a cage. Elena took a job at a warehouse during the day and continued working evenings at the diner. Her body grew tired. Her mind grew sharper. One night after a long shift, she overheard a customer talking about starting a small online business. The words felt foreign yet exciting. Elena listened closely. She went home and searched online using an old laptop. She discovered a world she never knew existed. A world where skills mattered more than background. Where voices could be heard without permission. She began teaching herself digital skills late at night. Watching free videos. Practicing endlessly. Failing often. Some nights she cried from exhaustion. Other nights she smiled because she finally felt progress. Weeks turned into months. Months into years. Slowly her confidence grew. But life tested her again. Her mother fell ill. Medical bills piled up. Elena considered quitting everything to focus only on work. The old fear returned. The fear of being trapped forever. One night, she sat alone in her room staring at the wall. She realized something powerful. No one was coming to save her. If her life was going to change, she had to be the one to change it. That realization became her turning point. She doubled her efforts. She reached out to people online despite her fear. She shared her story. Honestly. Rejections followed. Doubt followed. But so did small wins. A freelance job. A thank you email. A payment that felt like proof. Elena did not celebrate loudly. She simply kept going. She knew this was only the beginning. The girl from the small town was still standing at the edge of something bigger. She could feel it. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in her life, she was walking forward by choice, not by force. The next phase of Elena Carter's life began quietly. There was no sudden success. No viral moment. Just days filled with effort and nights filled with doubt. She continued working at the warehouse and diner while building her skills online. Every dollar she earned from freelance work went toward her mother's medical needs. Some days she felt proud. Some days she felt invisible again. But something inside her had changed. She no longer felt powerless. Elena started waking up earlier than everyone else. She used those silent hours to learn more. She studied communication, marketing, human psychology. She learned how stories move people and how value creates trust. Slowly her work improved. Clients noticed. Small opportunities became consistent work. For the first time she experienced momentum. Yet success brought new challenges. People around her began questioning her choices. Some friends mocked her efforts, saying it was unrealistic. Family members advised her to stay safe. Those words hurt more than she expected. Doubt is loudest when it comes from familiar voices. Elena struggled internally. She wondered if she was chasing an illusion. One evening after a long, exhausting day, she sat beside her mother in the hospital bed. Her mother held her hand and looked into her eyes. She said something Elena would never forget. She said, "Do not shrink yourself to make others comfortable." That moment became fuel. Elena realized that fear disguised as advice often keeps people small. She made a bold decision. She quit the diner job. It terrified her. The steady income was gone. The safety net disappeared. But she felt free. She focused fully on her online work. Days blended together as she worked endlessly. She made mistakes, missed deadlines, learned hard lessons. But she adapted. Her reputation slowly grew. Clients referred her to others. Her confidence transformed how she spoke and how she carried herself. She was no longer the quiet girl by the window. She was becoming someone who believed her voice mattered. Then came another turning point. A large project opportunity appeared. It was far beyond anything she had done before. The pay was significant. The pressure was intense. Elena almost declined. Fear whispered that she was not ready. But she remembered her promise to herself. She accepted. The weeks that followed pushed her limits. She barely slept. Anxiety tested her strength. At times she felt she was failing. But she finished the project. The client's response changed everything. Praise followed. Recognition followed. And with it a new door opened. Elena paid off a large portion of her mother's medical bills. She moved them into a better home. The walls were clean. The neighborhood felt safe. Her mother cried when she saw it. Elena cried too. Not because of money, but because she had broken a cycle. Still, she did not stop. She knew success was fragile if growth stopped. She began sharing her journey online. Not as an expert, but as a learner. Her honesty attracted people. Women especially. They saw themselves in her struggles. Messages poured in. Stories echoed her own. Elena realized her pain had purpose. Her journey had meaning beyond survival. She was not just changing her life anymore. She was inspiring others to believe they could change theirs too. As Elena Carter's voice grew louder online, her inner battles grew louder too. Visibility brings pressure. The more people watched her, the more she feared disappointing them. She felt responsible for hope she never planned to carry. Every post felt heavy. Every message reminded her that people were listening. Success also attracted criticism. Strangers questioned her credibility. Some accused her of exaggerating her story. Old insecurities resurfaced. She began doubting herself again. At night, she reread hateful comments and wondered if she truly deserved the progress she had made. Burnout followed quietly. Elena pushed herself without rest. She feared slowing down would make her irrelevant. Her health declined. Her sleep disappeared. One morning, she collapsed from exhaustion. That moment scared her more than failure ever had. She realized she had been chasing success the same way she once chased survival. Forced to pause, Elena spent time reflecting. She remembered the girl she once was. The one who dreamed quietly without validation. She understood that growth without balance becomes another prison. Healing became her new goal. She learned to say no. She learned to rest without guilt. She learned that her worth was not tied to productivity. Slowly, she rebuilt her strength. this time from a place of self-respect, not fear. When she returned online, her message changed. She spoke honestly about burnout, about fear, about imperfect progress. Her audience grew deeper, not larger. People trusted her more. They felt seen. Her influence became real. A speaking invitation arrived from a women leadership conference. The thought terrified her. Public speaking was her old fear. But she accepted. On stage, she shared her journey without filters. Her voice trembled. Her story did not. The audience stood in silence, then applause followed. Elena understood something powerful. Vulnerability creates connection. Opportunities expanded. She partnered with organizations focused on women empowerment. She mentored young girls from backgrounds like hers. Every conversation healed a part of her past. One evening she visited her hometown. The streets looked smaller. The fear felt distant. She stood outside her old school and smiled. Not with pride, but with peace. She had not escaped her past. She had transformed it. Her mother's health improved. Their home was filled with laughter. Elena felt gratitude, not guilt, for her success. She learned that rising does not mean leaving people behind. It means lifting them when possible. Then came a letter. A message from a young girl who said, "Your story saved me." Elena cried. Not from sadness, but from purpose. She realized her journey was never just about her. As Elena Carter stepped into this new chapter, she realized that growth demands courage again and again. Comfort slowly tried to settle in. Stability arrived. Recognition became normal. But she knew comfort can quietly stop evolution. She refused to let that happen. She started building something bigger than herself. A platform dedicated to helping women find confidence and direction. Not a perfect system, but an honest one. She shared tools that helped her. Mindset shifts. Skill development. Emotional resilience. Everything she once searched for alone. Challenges returned in new forms. Managing a growing community tested her leadership. Mistakes became public. Decisions carried consequences. Elena learned accountability the hard way. She owned every error openly. That honesty strengthened trust. Financial success came, but so did responsibility. She invested wisely. She supported her family. She funded scholarships quietly without publicity. Giving became grounding. It reminded her why she started. There were moments of loneliness at the top. Fewer people truly understood her path. Old friendships changed. Some faded. Elena accepted it without bitterness. Growth sometimes requires distance. She faced a moment of fear again when offered a national media interview. Millions would hear her story. The pressure was overwhelming. She almost declined. Then she remembered the girl who once sat in silence wishing for possibility. She accepted. The interview resonated across the country. Messages flooded in. Her story reached homes she would never see, lives she would never meet. She felt humbled, not powerful. Elena continued refining her message. Success is not about escaping struggle. It is about learning how to move through it without losing yourself. She emphasized consistency over perfection, courage over comfort, purpose over praise. One night, she stood alone on her balcony, looking at the city lights. She reflected on how far she had come. She no longer chased validation. She chased alignment. Her life finally felt like her own. She understood something deeply. Her journey was not extraordinary. Her persistence was. Anyone willing to keep going could change their life too. Elena Carter's final transformation was not marked by awards or applause. It arrived quietly through clarity. She understood that legacy is not built by what you achieve, but by what you awaken in others. Her story was complete not because she had reached a destination, but because she had become the person she once needed. She returned again to her hometown not as a symbol of success, but as a reminder of possibility. She spoke at local schools. She listened more than she talked. She told young girls that fear never disappears. It simply stops controlling you when you decide to move anyway. Elena's life settled into purpose. She worked with intention, rested with peace, loved without guilt. Her mother smiled more often. Their home felt safe in every sense. The cycle of struggle had ended not through luck but through persistence. She no longer measured success by numbers. She measured it by impact. By letters from women who found courage. By stories of people who tried again after failure. By quiet moments where she felt aligned with who she truly was. When people asked her secret, she never gave a dramatic answer. She said, "I chose myself every day even when it was uncomfortable. Even when no one noticed. Even when fear was louder than hope." Her journey reminded the world that life-changing turns do not happen overnight. They happen through small, brave decisions repeated daily. Through patience. Through belief built slowly. Elena Carter was once an invisible girl in a forgotten town. Today her story lives in the hearts of those who needed to hear it. And somewhere a young girl sits by a window listening to her story, realizing that her own life can change too.